Oh, hey, buddy, it's your old pal Scott, and this is Let's Talk Tabletop. You know, I've ran our gaming club for quite some time, and as with every gaming club, you get some new people sniffing around once in a while you guys are playing games. And I've boiled down the four things that really turn off new prospective players. And hopefully, we can learn something today. Let's dig into it. We've all been there at one point. You're playing your war game, maybe you've got other buddies at some other tables, and you look up and there's an unfamiliar face. Who's this weirdo? Well, it's a prospective new player. And they're kind of like standing off, they're not engaging, but they're like 3 feet away, and maybe their arms are crossed, and they're kind of looking to see, they're trying not to be intrusive, but they're also kind of shy. Most of us nerds are. And there's a few things you can do to actually encourage them to join you and maybe get a new player and a new friend in the hobby. The first thing that turns off a new player when they come to a store is not being spoken to, not being acknowledged, not being engaged, or anything like that. There was notoriously an old gaming store that I went to as a kid, and I was like pre-teens, and I would go buy HeroClix there and some Magic cards. And when I walked in there, it would always, all conversation would stop. It would just, and then crickets would chirp. And everyone, like you walked into a tomb full of vampires. Everyone's going, and they're all turn around to look and see who's coming in. And then all conversations stop awkwardly when you walk in. And I remember that as a kid. I was like, man, these people are really cliquey. Like they're not like welcoming. They're not saying hi. They're not any of that. They're just really, really cliquey. And I remember that being so off-putting for me as a child and as an adult at the same time. You can still walk into stores now and people have that reaction sometimes. If they're a real close-knit group, if they're not frequented by strangers or new people, and you definitely get this cliquish vibe. And not feeling welcome or comfortable in a gaming club is something that's really, really a big turnoff to new players. So you've got to make sure that as soon as someone walks in and they're getting some, interest, you see them in your peripherals, I always be sure to engage them immediately. Not in some like aggressive manner. I'll be playing my game and I'll look up and the person's over there and I go, "Oh, hey, do you play Warhammer?" Or whatever it is. And then most of the time they will light up and go, "Oh, no, but I played Space Marine and I wanted to see what it was like," or whatever. And then you can say, "Well, do you have an army? What army do you play? Is it assembled? Whatever." And a misconception I've noticed a lot of new people have coming into the hobby is they think that all of your miniatures are expected to be painted before you ever get to play. And I immediately tell them, hey, if your stuff isn't painted, I mean, look around. Not all my players have painted miniatures. I mean, my club doesn't really care about that. And that makes them feel a lot more welcoming as well. And then the next step would be to tell them when you meet and how to get a hold of you if you have a Discord or anything like that. And that makes people feel much more welcome, even if you never see them ever again, to be acknowledged and for someone else to make the first move of engagement is extremely comforting to new players. Another cautionary tale is when I started Warhammer, the first time I got there, I did not know anything about Warhammer. So I was asking a couple questions about what's vampire counts and what's this and that. And I proceeded to be cornered by the resident player who was all about the lore. And he decided to explain in great excruciating detail the backstory and the history of every single faction. He took out his rulebook, and without me asking, he showed me, oh, look, this is Space Marines, all this is Imperial Guard, all this is Necrons, all this is Eldar, all this is Tau, all this is Ors. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. I've never known what a Space Marine was prior to this conversation. I really don't need to know about Primarchs and stuff. I really don't. And jumping on a new player, I know you might be excited. I know that you've got a wealth of knowledge you just love to share with people, and I totally get that. But for a new player that is not familiar with the IP necessarily, that is really aggressive. It's really, really aggressive. And I understand that that guy was being super friendly and he was excited for a new player, but you can't let your enthusiasm push people away because you've literally cornered them. I was literally cornered, like couldn't get out of the way, and I was trying to be polite. And it's funny looking back on it now, but at the time I was like, sheesh, I know not to talk to that guy anymore. Now, it did not dissuade me, obviously, because I'm still in the hobby, but at the time, I was like, wow, this guy's kind of weird. Is everyone weird like this? And that's something that new players can definitely be turned off by. Number 3 on this list of things not to do to new players is to tell them how to run their list. I have seen this a million times in the game club. A new person comes in and they go, "Oh, I really like orcs." And immediately some of the competitive players will go, "Oh, well, don't take this unit. This unit's garbage. That unit's what you need. These 2 units are garbage. Don't even worry about X, Y, or Z." And they start telling you the optimal way to play. And I always make sure to be like, or another alternative would be just buy the miniatures you like and paint them. And as long as you're not playing tournaments, which most people aren't, it really doesn't matter. Just play what you want. And that usually, after being slightly scared by the competitive people telling them they have to play this way, they can't play this way, that sort of thing, they usually lighten up a little bit when I'm like, hey, just buy what you like. Like, just buy whatever models you like. And if they're not good now, it has a tendency that they might be good in the future. And even if they're not good now, then you're hopefully going to have good opponents who know to pump the brakes a little bit, or to be good sports, or to be, good partners at all in this game. And that is another thing that really turns off players when they're told immediately that this unit is garbage, that unit's awesome, and you're like, some people find that helpful. The fledgling competitives find that helpful, but a lot of people find that as a turnoff. And number 4 is something you probably aren't going to expect me to say. Recently, anecdotally, we went to me and a couple buddies went to a gaming store far away, hours away, and we decided to go in there and see if we could get some Warhammer games in. And the first thing we saw when we went in there is about half a dozen people wearing identical team jerseys. And I don't mean sports teams, I mean their Warhammer League tournament team jerseys. And even though we aren't new players, every one of us have been playing for 15 plus years, but we were all like, ugh, that to me screams competitive player. I'm not going to have fun. They're going to stomp me. Why even try? And if you have that type of attitude and that type of bling in your club, it's going to turn people off because they're thinking you're treating this as a career and you're taking it extremely seriously. And by and large, I think most players want the beer and pretzels sort of roll some dice and have a laugh sort of game. They do not want some tournament level game every single time. Now, of course, some of you do, and that's fine. But you're trying to entice everybody to come join your club, right? So if you're competitive, you don't mind bringing in competitives. But if you are competitive, you also want casual people, and vice versa. Casuals want both as well, because a good, healthy gaming club has a mixture of everybody. It has some competitives, it has some casuals, it has somewhere in between, and everybody gets along hunky-dory. And the minute that we saw those jerseys, we are like, nope, not even going to go approach them. And I'm sorry, that could be my own personal bias, but I just knew the writing on the wall. I don't keep up with the meta. I don't have the best things. I bring the units that I enjoy or that I just painted or I like the look of them, and I worry about the rules later, okay? And I know a lot of you are like this watching this video. And the minute we saw those jerseys, we decided, you know what? We drove 3 hours to be here. Why don't the 3 of us just play each other? You know, the 3 friends that already go to the gaming club once a week to play each other. Let's play each other. And we had a great 2 games just playing us 3. And I will mind you that those people that are the home people of that club, right? They never approached us. They never contacted us. Was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?" They didn't know who we were. We could have been brand new players. We could have been new to their area. They never engaged us. They never asked us anything. And they were really off-putting with the jerseys. So if you want someone to join your club, having matching jerseys on a regular game night is probably not the thing you want to do. So Call me a baby, I guess, but all three of us unanimously thought, oh my gosh, they got matching jerseys. Nah, let's just play each other and have a good time. And we did. We had a great time. So, in conclusion, those are four things that I've found that will completely give your new players cold feet as soon as they walk in the store. If you don't talk to them, if you flood them with rules, if you tell them exactly how to play, and if you wear freaking team jerseys, they're not coming back. I'm sorry. So, what do you think? What is something that has turned you off from going to a game club? What is something that you've seen happen that the people never came back? I will actually add a secret number 5 to this. I said it was 4, but it's 5. If you're running a demo, let the person win. Okay? Do everything you can to softball them a win because they will remember that and they'll come back. If you crush someone mercilessly on their demo, they're not coming back. A lot of times they're not. I've seen probably half a dozen people over the years not come back from a demo after being crushed. So don't do that either. That's number 5. Anyway, beautiful, sexy, good smelling Patreon patrons right here. Look at all of them. Man. Juicy Jim. He is juicy. He's quite juicy, as what I've been told, word on the street. He's juicy. Anyway, thank you so much for supporting the show. Thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, all of that. Let me know what horror stories you've seen turning people off to the game, and I will see you next week. Thank you.